Okay, the column readers and TalkingBroadway.com. I'm here with the two stars of the national tour of Wonderful Town, Allison and Deborah Lynn, who play the sisters of Sherwood Sisters. If you recall, this was a Broadway revival done, I think, last year, 2003, with Donna Murphy in the leading role. And now we have these two lovely ladies who are touring with the production. Welcome to Dallas.
Thank you.
What would you say, since you're both playing sisters, would be the hardest thing on stage to do, to bring out more that's not written on the page, to show the connection of being sisters?
Well, interestingly enough, when we first met and we first read together, we had an instant chemistry that just sort of happened. We were very fortunate that way. We connected very well and
at our audition.
And when we saw each other on the street right after, we both screamed, "Oh, you got the part!"
On our first day of rehearsals, we were in the sidewalks of New York screaming and jumping up and down. We didn't even know each other.
It's like those two girls from the small town having a big scene on 8th Avenue.
No one else noticed, I'm sure.
But we're both from small town, so I think we fit those roles pretty naturally. And I think the sister thing, it's developing. We're starting to finish each other's sentences now. And
yeah, I mean, I feel like you're Ruth and I'm Eileen off stage, and sometimes we flip a little bit, you know, but we joke a lot that we kind of pick up on that naturally.
Have you used each other's traits to bring on stage as well? You know, you see little mannerisms in there, and you might play with that on stage? Or
you know how to push each other's buttons. Yes, we can.
Yeah. And, you know, I think we're always trying to look for ways to have more fun on stage as sisters, which is important. You know, so much is about, you know, their story and their struggle, but I think it's good to remind ourselves that, you know, they're sisters and they can joke and they can, you know, be everything with each other because they're family and they're that comfortable together. And I think it's just always good to find new ways to bring that out, and we try to do that.
And I think the nurturing and the taking care of one another, that comes very naturally to us as well. Like, I feel protective of my husband. We're all looking out for each other.
Yeah.
Stage door, Johnny's at the door.
Yeah. She doesn't notice, just like Eileen, she doesn't notice that the men are noticing her everywhere she goes, and I'm more cynical.
She points it out.
Did you see that? Would you keep your eyes open?
No, he was he had a big facial on him. What would you say is the hardest part of playing, I mean, two major roles that are on stage so much? What would you say is the hardest thing, other than the usual, the stamina and all that other stuff? What would you say is the hardest in your character, such as the character arc? Or
yeah, I would say for me, the thing I struggle with the most and work at is I don't want Eileen to be ditzy, you know, and that it can be very easy to go there just because of her looks and, you know, the men paying attention to her, but there's so much more behind that character, and I really try to keep her extremely real and sincere, and I mean, the person she's most concerned about is Ruth, and that comes through in everything she does is for her sister. Every man that she invites to the house is for her sister, and sometimes I think it's easy to just think it's because she can or because, you know, she likes boys, but it's so much more than that, and that can be challenging because that's a subtlety that I think you have to find and keep trying to work towards.
And for Ruth, she's the classic sardonic one-line dame of the 30s, you know, Roz Russell, quick quips, one-liners, and you want to play the joke, you want to punch it up, but you don't want to just hit all those punchlines so hard. The other thing is the cynicism. You have to stay positive and still have a sense of humor without tending to be more negative. So for me, the challenge was keeping her witty and fast-paced, but positive in a good way, as opposed to real cynical.
How do you feel, since you're playing that part, that there will be the older generations that are thinking of Roz and Russell?
Right.
And then there are those for Donna Murphy.
Oh, I'm such a Donna Murphy fan. I saw Donna 20 times. She was great.
They all know now.
I love Donna Murphy.
Secrets out.
We're going to edit that out.
Heavily influenced by her performance. She really, I thought, modernized it, brought Ruth into the...
Well, the two shows were so different.
They were
you know, and I think it probably is a little bit difficult because the older audiences know the first, and then this one is so fresh and lively and sexy, and it's a different Ruth.
But it's a different Ruth, right? But Rosalind Russell, I mean, Rosalind Russell just was Rosalind Russell. I mean, she was wonderful in everything she did. So I think there's a little bit of both. I was influenced on both. I watched Physical Friday and some of the old movies, 30s, you know.
Yeah. What is a moment or a scene or a song or just anything in your character that you did not discover at the beginning of the tour, but now as you come toward the end of the tour, you just kind of go, oh wow, that's a new moment, a new intimate moment that you discovered now. What would you say is one of those moments?
Oh, I think it's a good question. An exact moment. I would say I'm realizing more and more when Ruth confesses that she's in love with Bob Baker. You know, at that moment, everything switches in Eileen's world and in her mind. She never, ever in a million years would have thought that Ruth would like someone or that he would like her back. And it's always, I'm more and more finding lots of stuff in that moment, in that area for Eileen in terms of, you know, okay, now I know, and I have to fix this, and I have to get Bob to love Ruth.
And I think for Ruth, too, it's that same moment, actually, with the sisters, where Ruth always feels like she's the responsible one taking care of Eileen. I have to make sure that we have food on the table and the roof over our head, and very responsible. But at some point in the play, it shifts a little where I become a little more vulnerable, and I realize, you know, my sister really is there to take care of me and to comfort me, and the table sort of turns towards the end of the second act, where she's there to comfort me and say everything's going to be all right. And she becomes my strength, too. So it's a nice moment, which I think came more as we absolutely worked through the show. It's nice to find those neat little stuff, and the more you live with a role on a character, you start to discover things.
Stuff that wasn't there before.
And
we have it more and more at the end, of course, and that's why you want to keep going. You're like, oh, think about what's going to be in 3 months.
We are so fortunate to be working with Comden Green lyrics, and I mean, it's just, they set it up so beautifully for the actor. You know, you just sort of show up, and your character is it's just all written in there so beautifully, all the subtext, and so it makes it a lot easier to just play the character.
Exactly. What are you going to miss most about doing this production? Not the performing part of the show, but what will you miss? Well, let's say backstage or outside of proscenium. What will you miss about doing this show?
I think just the daily life of getting up and being around great people, you know, that you worked with the night before, and spending your days together, and just the relationships that happen with that. And you get in your routine, and you're in a new place every day, and you're going to do an awesome show that night. For me, it's just going to be that kind of routine of you know, socializing and working and creating art every day, and just all of a sudden that's gone.
We're a family 24/7. We live on the bus together. We eat breakfast together. We talk about the show the night before. And our director and choreographer, they really made sure they put together. I think they not only did they think of the show when they were casting it, but they thought about the people and living together, and they put together a really great. We all relate very well, and very supportive, and it's interesting because I think it's such a great show. At this point in the game, after 6 months, we're all still really in love with the show, too.
It's so true.
It still stands up. We don't feel bored. We don't feel tired. We're excited to get out there and work those 2.5 hours.
Which is great because those who have seen national tours, some of that kind of time, you can tell us they're, you know, here we go, Phantom of the Opera number 4,054.
Yeah, and we're the first cast to do this
on the road, right.
We worked, you know, it was a great team to put this out there, and
I could do it for another year.
Oh, yeah, I just love it, absolutely.
What is, after you close this tour, what is next in the horizon for both of these ladies? What are your next shows?
Well, I'm going to be spending a month in Connecticut this summer doing the role of Carrie in the musical Carousel.
Oh.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to that at the Triarch Playhouse in Sharon, Connecticut. Should be another interesting role, a challenge for me, something different, and that's my next project. And then, who knows?
I'll be looking. So that's really interesting.
We're going to do a Wonderful Town Part 2. When
any other productions of one.
I'll go too. We work together.
We'll put a link to the website.
Yes.
No. Well, thank you so much, Allison and Deborah. We look forward to seeing you is it in July?
May.
May.
Coming up.
For Wonderful Town. So remember, it's the closing of this national tour. And outside of the revival, a lot of us have not seen this, so this will be very exciting to see the two wonderful, beautiful ladies. And I say that we saw today at the press event, they both did a song from the show called Ohio, and it was wonderful. Both have beautiful voices. I mean,
Thank you.
You have a nice breathy quality. Yours is a deeper, darker color that I love. Yours is
She's
beautiful soprano. It blended beautifully.
Oh,
So you're in for a treat, folks. So make sure you come see that music hall. Thank you.
Thank you very much.